Be excellent to each other and party on. We're back for another Legacy League, and today we're playing my favorite deck of all time, Esper Vial, and we've got two Abhorrent Oculus up in here. This card is so good if you're vialing it in. You don't need to worry about your graveyard card count. You can just get a turn 4 uncounterable Abhorrent Oculus and take over the game from there. So we are, of course, playing Aether Vial. That is the namesake of the deck, and that allows us to play lots of powerful creatures that are pretty mana intensive, such as Baleful Strix, such as Recruiter of the Guard, which gives us a toolbox functionality to our deck. We can toolbox into Hullbreacher of the Seas, Hullbreacher. We also got Bogart Trawler, which is a land, but it's great for removing graveyards. Witch Enchanter, which is great for destroying artifacts or enchantments, like Ensnaring Bridge. The other cool thing about this deck is that it has the 4 Overlord, 4 Felia combo. This card is really ridiculous if you can flicker it with Felia. And then we also have other just toolbox cards, Skyclave, Apparition, and Venser, oldie but goodie. I love this card. This is pretty good against show and tell type decks. And then we just have good value creatures. We've got 4 Tamio. The number's not showing up for some reason. And then we've got a little bit of a tempo package in the 2 Spell Pierce and 3 Wasteland, although these are mostly going to be used for utility things. But when you're vialing stuff in and you're not really using your lands for mana as much, it is sometimes kind of free to Wasteland. And we have Lavinia. This is really good anti-combo tech. So the other thing we have going for us is we're just very strong against Blue-Black Reanimator because we have 4 Solitude and 4 Plow. And in the sideboard, we can play 4 Very Macabre, which can be tutored off of Recruiter of the Guard and can also be flipped off of Overlord and recurred. So it's going to be very hard for our Reanimator opponents to beat us if we find Very Macabre. And I'm using the French pronunciation there, by the way, if you're like cringing at like macabre. It's macabre. That's how Americans say it. And this is a Yorion deck, of course, so we have long-term inevitability. The rest of the sideboard involves 4 Force Negations, 4 anti, show and tell, anti-oops all spells. We've got 4 blasts split between Hydroblast and Blue Elemental Blast, and then we've got 2 Consign to Memory. But our main way to beat Eldrazi is going to be Harbinger, which is main deck. So again, I've got an entire sideboard guide in the video description if you're curious, like what comes out in different matchups. And there are lots of substitutions, and it's a lot of like one-ofs out because the deck is a lot of one-ofs. But I'm optimistic that we can make Aether Vial shine in 2025. Thraben Yu has said several times that he thinks that Aether Vial is no longer a legacy playable card, and we are here to try to prove him wrong. So I will see you in round 1. We're going to play a full 5 rounds as always. Leave comments with timestamps if you have feedback on my play. Round 1, we're up against a likely Reanimate opponent. This is a snap. Keep. This hand is insane. It's got Force. It's got Vial. I mean, Vial is the main thing you want in these kind of matchups. So we can potentially fight over a turn 1 Entomb, but we can't do that and play Vial. So I'm going to go into the Breach, and I'm just going to go ahead and cast the Vial anyway. Don't Thoughtseize me. Oh no, we're going to lose the Vial. They take the Force, I'll actually be very happy. Yeah, they're smart. They take the Vial. You always take Vial against this deck. You always counter Vial. So we're not going to get Entombed, but they could Entomb and Reanimate. I'm going to get this bad card out of the way. Tamio is an above average card. We have the Tamio combo. If the game gets grindy, we can do stuff. But now we can no longer really force the Entomb. If they Entomb Reanimate here, we're just dead. There's a waste. So we're not going to get Entomb Reanimated. All right, so we're just going to play out the fetch here. I'm not going to play the Tamio. Is that true? They may not have it. We can't get a basic island. I don't think it's correct to play on basics against this deck anyway. I'll just play this, and I can Incept Surveil, and we can get Tamio going later. I just need to be ready to force in case they Entomb. And I don't want to get dazed. Okay. So again, we have a great post-board matchup because we're going to bring in the 4 Very Macabre. I am going to go ahead and Surveil here, and I know that they can Entomb and everything. We'll just live with it. Let's Archive here. Plains, don't want it. Plow's a good rip. So we do have Tamio protected. I think it's fine to play her out now. It's worth noting that like if they do some value reanimate on like a troll or something like that, Plow can put a stop to that. Our opponent hasn't necessarily shown that they're not tempo, but I'm pretty sure if they were tempo, they would have done something by now. Like cast another Goy for a Tamio. Right, we're going to come in for a Hug here. Another Vial is great. I'm going to play at the land first, just in case I need to fight over something. Clue. I think I'm cool with hanging back and creating clues here. I'm going to get the Vial online. It's better late than never. As the old Chinese idiom goes, best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. All right. They're surveilling. Let's see if they surveil a fatty in the yard. They always do. No, they didn't. Okay, that's good. They don't know about the plow, but they do know that we have force. They could probably presume we have a blue card. So we're just going to continue to pull ahead and hope. Always yield. Okay, I'm getting faster at clicking, but like I'm just fair warning that some of these rounds may go at a time. So we don't have. We do have Graveyard Hate in our deck. We can get Bogart Trawler and put him in instant speed, but I don't think it's worth casting this Recruiter yet. I'm just going to keep my clues up. They may be waiting for a tactical Bowmaster, but I'm okay with them Bowmastering here. Let's go ahead and do this. Bowmaster? No Bowmaster. All right, Felia can come out next turn. I'm not going to subject her to Daze. There's no reason to put anything in front of Daze. My opponent discarded Archon. I thought I said I always wanted to yield to it. Always yield? Okay, well, I don't want to always yes, because there will become a time when I no longer want to plus it. Okay. So we have Felia this turn. I'm just going to attack, and I'm just going to keep my mana up. Now we have to stop the actual reanimate effect. So things do get harder. And they may have 2 reanimate effects for all I know. Like they play like 7. All right, I'm going to let this resolve. I'm going to put Felia in. I do want Felia. Now they can choose what they want to take. I will sacrifice the Tamio rather than the Felia, because the upside of Felia is very high. Now they're like Recruiter is going to be a nightmare for them if they let that get into play next turn, because I can do Recruiter every turn. They're going to take the Plow here. They took the Recruiter. Okay. So they are gearing up for a longer game. They could have Force blue card. All right. I'm just going to crack. Maximize looks for Recruiter. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and just fetch here. I'm not worried about Entomb. They can't instant speed, do anything that is super impactful here. Go ahead and grab Double Underground. Double Underground, they can cut us off of white potentially. I'll take a Scrubland instead. I'm going to just crack this other clue. Okay, another Delta. This is going to say yes. Let's see what we can draw here. Oculus is pretty sick. It might actually be able to outrace Archon. Let's see. We don't have any. The problem is we don't have any value permanents that we can flicker with Felia, which makes. I do want the clue more than I want Felia to blink something. I don't know. Wasteland might be okay here. Let's go ahead and just attack. I do think it's fine to go ahead and flip Tamio now. Okay. We're not going to blink anything. Done. We got our clue. Now I'm going to brainstorm, and if I can find Recruiter, then I'm going to remove their graveyard. Okay, we did find Recruiter. So I'm going to put these lands back. Tamio flips. We plus play this out. I am going to go ahead and just do white, blue, colorless, Recruiter. We're going to go get Bogart Trawler, and we'll have instant speed graveyard removal. And I think we just pass with like tons of interaction up. Double force. Bogart Trawler at instant speed, uncounterable. Yeah, they just scoop. Yes! That is how I wanted to start the league. Just tearing apart this deck. I know that was just one game, but it does get even better now. Okay, so these Fairy Macabres come in. Now we're going to go over to our sideboard guide here. And against Blue-Black Reanimator, we take out 1 Lavinia, we take out 1 Harbinger, 1 Witch Enchanter, 1 Skyclave. I don't know actually that we should take out Skyclave. I'm questioning that judgment. Skyclave is good because it can deal with just like their lower end stuff, like Baraglyphs and stuff. We could take a Hullbreacher, but it's a blue card. I don't want to take out blue cards. If they have anything, it's gonna be creature based. They're not gonna have like non-creature cards that we need to worry about, I don't think. So yeah, I think it does make sense to take out Skyclave. So I'll go with my original judgment there. I'm having so much fun. Like, I love going up against Blue-Black Reanimator, like the most overpowered deck in the format, with a deck that like has a positive matchup against it. Like, this is one of the few decks that has a positive matchup against it. 18 minutes on the clock. We're doing fine on time. This is, I mean, there's a decent chance that we just find a Fairy Macabre off of Overlord. I think I'm going to keep this. They've mulled. They're going to try to turbo us, I bet. This is a great hand, though. We're totally dead to just like Entomb Reanimate, but we can potentially like remove the creature. No, that's not a good draw. Yeah, I'm going to ensure that we get a good draw here. I can't ensure anything, but I can ensure it's not a land that we draw. Well, I can't actually ensure that, but we didn't draw that land. Okay, Troll's fine. Troll is easy for us to deal with. We've got so many answers to Troll. What is not easy to answer is the value generated from Atraxa. That's fine. I'm happy they're using Reanimate that way. Let's go find a Solitude. They could absolutely daze this, and then next turn we Recruiter and we try to find a Solitude. But I am going to go Overlord here. It's in. They would have dazed that if they had daze. We'll take the Bowmaster. It's not totally bad here. Next turn, I think we have to Brainstorm to get rid of stuff. So many triggers. This deck is a lot faster in paper than it is on MTGO, but in paper you have to worry about your opponents taking time too. You can be like the most fast, efficient control player in the world, and you just compare it against some dirtly dude. Yeah, it's unfortunate. We're going to need that mana. Ponder. Just looking for a Plow or a Solitude. Either one of those will be fine. We can easily recoup the card advantage later. We just don't want to die. The problem is if we start to get low in life, we're dead to like Archon trigger. They kind of have a form of direct damage and removal in Archon. It's a very scary card. Thoughts using this? Probably taking our Brainstorm. Yep. They are at 11. If we can find a Felio and we can flip this, we can race. Fairy Macabre is too little too late. I think we just chill and end step Bowmaster here. I mean, they know about it, so it's not going to surprise them. I think given that they know about it, it makes sense to go ahead and just Bowmaster now to lock them off of cantrips so they can't play around. We're putting ourselves dead in 2 swings, but this card can chump. Where are my Tundras? Did I already work through both of my Tundras? That's embarrassing. Yeah, I did. Now I kind of want to just, well, yeah, I think it makes sense to just grab the planes here because I don't care about black that much. Yeah, I'll grab the planes just for undisruptible mana. And the good news is the Fairy Macabre does insulate us. And it is something we can hardcast. But unless they draw trigger, we're not going to be able to trade effectively with this. We need another creature to be able to trade. Yeah, it would be embarrassing if this went coast to coast without any disruption other than that Thoughtseize. But it is entirely possible. Douthie is problematic as well. We're going to have to kill that. So now we have 2 creatures we have to kill. Solitude is a great rip. I think we just Solitude here. They have Solitude. The other option is, of course, we Recruiter. If they don't interrupt that, then we can... But we can Solitude and be confident that we get a turn. We can also Surveil. Surveilling puts us to dead in 2 attacks. If this doesn't work, then we have to play out the Fairy Macabre to block. It's pretty desperate. Let's try this. Again, I'm doing it this way because it plays around days. Might as well attack. They don't have any hasty beats in their deck. They do use Reanimate as a way to win. Overlord's not going to arrive in time, but Overlord will be good. We need to find another removal spell. Douthie's really the perfect card because it denied us, like, when we attack with this, we're not going to be able to go get back to the card. I am going to take a turn off my clock by going and getting I'll float here. Yeah, I don't think it matters. Who am I fooling? I'm making them think I have something. All right, whatever. Let's go ahead and just Surveil. We have plenty of time on our clock, thankfully, for game 3. So Archive. Overlord is not good enough. That does put it where my opponent can grab it, but like we're dead anyway. All right. We need this to be a good draw. Not good enough. Wait, Felia, actually. No, Felia can flip this, and we have a blocker, but it doesn't matter because of Shadow. Yeah, that was a disappointing game. But we're going to rally here. I can feel it. I mean, that's an argument for keeping Skyclave. If they're bringing in Douthie, just as another thing that can remove those types of creatures. What will we take out? I mean, the fact that both of those creatures had evasion meant that Strix wouldn't be good there. We can take out a Wasteland. We were playing a lot of land, and we're never going to be wasting our opponent. And then we can bring in Skyclave. But I feel like if we're taking... I mean, maybe we should bring this back in, because it is a white source, just in case we get cramped on mana. I guess we could do this and just go into the danger zone as far as mana is concerned. We had plenty of lands that turn, but that doesn't mean we'll have it that next turn. So effectively 28 lands in the deck. But these wastelands, you can just treat them as spells, essentially. Yeah, I don't know. I feel kind of worried going this low on land that we're going to get mana screwed. This is great hand. It's got Fairy Macabre. We can open Surveil just to get it out of the way. Yeah, I'm going to keep this. If they have Thoughtseize, that's a bummer because that takes away our protection from our yard. We can fill up our graveyard pretty quickly. Bogart Trawler, being able to nuke their graveyard is important. So it's like they basically have two things they need to Thoughtseize out of our hand if they want to go for it, like depending on how quickly. Recruiter is slow. I want faster stuff. I want Plows. Solitudes, stuff like that, just in case they have an early... Well, we have early Troll Reanimation covered. Okay, that's good, because that's not Thoughtseize. I just want to survive the first few turns. We start to take over pretty quickly. But as you can see, the deck is extremely mana intensive. We haven't gotten a chance to reach for Urian yet. Another land's fine. So my instinct is to not play Felia here, because it could get dazed or Fatal Push or something. We can just grab a land. I just don't want to give them any days equity because they mold. Troll's fine. It does suck to use Fairy Macabre just to get rid of a troll, but it's worth it if they reanimate. All right, we can Surveil here. Just getting the Surveils out of your deck is so important. You don't want to draw these things. Fill up that yard. I think actually this is a graveyard. We already have one. That's greedy though. Yeah, I'm going to draw it. Yeah, I think this card is way too powerful in the matchup to just eat it into the yard like that. Also, we put it within surgical distance just in case our opponent was one of those mad lads that boards in surgical against the non-graveyard deck. Okay, let's pass. We now have Felia up. All right, I am going to end step Felia here. And if she dies, she fills up the graveyard at least. All right, so hear me out. I think this is a Bogart Trawler turn. And then we can have something to blink. They may have like a Bowmasters, which would be unfortunate. Because Bowmasters would actually simultaneously kill our thing and trade with Felia. That would be an absolute blowout if that were what they played. I think we want to err on the side of having white mana. Yeah, please don't Bowmaster me. But it'll put so much stuff in our yard that we will be able to Oculus. And I don't think they'll be able to stop that. They're Fatal Pushing here, which is fine. Now we don't have to worry about that Bowmaster blowout that I was talking about. Hit your yard. And we're just going to pass. We have 3 power on the table. It's not the worst. I think it's highly likely that our opponent Bowmaster is here. All right, they don't Bowmaster. That's good for us. Surveil a Wasteland. So our Fairy Macabres are still there as our security blanket. They're drawing a lot of land, which is good for us. All right, I am going to come in for a hug first. Bowmaster Rip. That's a great one. I should have played out the land first. All right, I am going to go for the card. Let's get an Underground Sea. Let's get a Tundra. I seriously doubt they play Harbinger. How devastating is it if they play Harbinger? I'm going to get the Plains. Oculus. Do you have a Force? We're also simultaneously getting rid of some cards in our graveyard that our opponent might be able to reanimate. They don't... Oh, we are favored from here on out. I dare say. And I tapped wrong, so I won't have Bowmasters up. That was a mistake. Yeah, that's fine. Well, we can't cast it again. Yeah, that was effective deterrence. Yeah, I feel dumb for not for freaking tapping that way. Gosh, that was an amateur. Hopefully that doesn't come up. They're like cantripping a bunch. Okay, Undercity Sewer. Please put a fatty in the yard. This is one time that I want you to put a fatty in the yard. Days. Okay. Well, we may not be punished for tapping so badly. I'm going to hold the Bowmaster up to ping this. Caracas is fine. I will play out the land. Doesn't actually do anything to play it out. We might draw a Brainstorm. I'm just going to swing and see what happens here. It's going to be a few turns before Oculus comes down, that's for sure. Like, I'm hoping to draw a Force, so Oculus can be used for that. Oh, we can just get Yorion. Yeah, like, I don't know why I didn't think about that. Let's get Yorion. I am going to play at the land just in case. I'm going to leave the black sources up too this turn. Yeah, we have this. That's the reason we're playing 80 cards, is to get this guy. He'll be pretty good. Wipe our opponent's graveyard and put 4 power into play. This will come out. I think it's perfectly fine to just Bowmaster now, but I could wait. I think I'll, if I wait, yeah, they have Hardcast Force up now. Yeah, I think it was a misplay. I don't want to take the damage. I'm going to go ahead and attempt to Bowmaster here. They could get Bowmaster Supremacy, but it doesn't really matter. We don't have anything to play out. Yeah, if they have Hardcast Force, I'll be embarrassed here. Brainstorming in response. Yeah, this is a Brainstorm that they wouldn't be able to cast had I just done what I was supposed to do and played it earlier. They are forcing. Okay, but it wasn't a Hardcast Force. They force pitch Force. All right, we'll take 3. I'm going to wipe their yard again. Entomb. Okay, and this is where having double Fairy Macabre in our hand makes us feel nice and warm and fuzzy. Archon. I will be happy to take that Archon off your hands. Let's hit that, and let's also hit your... I'm going to hit my Orcish Bowmaster. No, I'll hit the Troll. Because I can always just... If they try to reanimate my Bowmaster, I can deal with that later. 1 card in hand. Okay, I think we probably got this game. We'll wipe their graveyard. Let's see, what can Recruiter do? Recruiter could go get Solitude, which is a turn cycle away. Can we get anything? We already used our Bowmaster. I think it's fine to just play Yorion and wipe their graveyard. I don't believe they have anything they can do here. I should attack first. Let's go to combat. Yorion. Petty Theft is fine. So Yorion doesn't have anything to blink, but that's okay. Yorion does nothing here. We just pass with a big blocker / attacker. That can be Caracas at will. They're hellbent with Brainstorm is fine. Again, like I just feel dumb that like I kind of didn't main phase that Bowmaster to get rid of this Brazen Borrower. Ponder, they're digging. Murktide would be something they could do right now that would be consequential. Another Ponder. Wow. Spinning the wheels. I will Fairy Macabre my own Bowmaster if it comes down to it. Yeah, we win. Again, this is a very favorable matchup. I think this is like a 60-40 probably. Maybe higher. So it feels really good to have a positive matchup against the best deck in the format. See you in round 2. We're on the play round 2. Won a record after beating Blue-Black Reanimator, wishing our opponent luck. In the blind, this hand is perfectly fine. This is actually really good in my opinion. I'm going to float out the Delta, and then we can in-step fetch a Meticulous Archive. We have Pierce if we need it, and Force if they're on combo. The only record that I have of them is Patchwork Stompy like a year ago. Mulling to 6. Okay, this hand is looking better. They're mulling to 6. Even better. All right. We are giving up a perfect Brainstorm by fetching the Surveillant, but I think it's worth it. Okay. So maybe Reanimator again. I'm going to go ahead and archive. Hullbreacher is probably the pitch to Force. It's not that great against this deck. Like, I think Hullbreacher is better against like one ring decks than it is against cantrip decks. You can occasionally get a cantrip deck, which feels amazing. Velia is something to do. She's quite good. I'm worried about mana at this point. That's my biggest concern. But we have Instep Velia, and if that gets dazed, that's a bummer. I'm not going to pierce the cantrip here. I don't really mind Velia getting dazed. That's something that won't get dazed later. We're just so low on mana, and we do want to resolve our stuff. They're forcing it. Straight up force. Ponder into exile. Yeah, that's fine. I'm not going to force back. I need to be ready to force Entomb. Perfect. Okay, so we have Force Protected Hullbreacher if they cantrip. I think that's pretty good. That might end the game. And we can always just end step it. I think that's better than Recruiter of the Guard because then we keep up our shields. Okay, wow. So this changes things. They have Trop. I wonder what they're playing. I do think it's fine to just play at the Hullbreacher here. It's a beater. It probably will force motion. Even if it's just like a fetch fatal push. So if the 3-color deck, I don't have anything to fear in terms of like Harbinger or anything like that main deck. I think Tundra is the more important of the lands. I could get Scrub and then just have perfect colors. Let's do that. That's why I put it in the deck. All right, is Hullbreacher good? They're fetching. They're probably just going to cast their cantrip before, which is fine. Yeah, that's no problem. I figured that was the case. I just want to start beating you down, friend. The days, they did have it. I think it's fine. I'll just take the days. Yeah, and I've given them the days, but I have Recruiter next turn, which is much more powerful. Let's do it. I am going to days here. Or I'm sorry, I am going to Recruiter here. I think they're on some sort of value type deck. Wow, they forced that? I think we just let it happen. They're going really low on resources. They don't have a days. Otherwise, they would have just days there. They pitched a Lorien Revealed. I think they're on Beanstalk. So I need to be ready to force Beanstalk. Merc. What are they exile? I wish it was easier to tell. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's going to be an 8-8. We have a lot of answers to this in our deck. I'm going to have some faith that we can find one rather than forcing here. Is that correct? If they have they could have drawn days. I mean, Spell Pierce probably isn't. Oh, what if we die to this? There are. I mean, we could just. So if you include the remaining recruiters, we have a total of 11 outs and 68 cards. Okay, let's do the math. So we said 68. So we're going to get 4 cards. We have 11 successes, and we just need 1 success. 50% of the time. Okay. So that's not great odds, but we can brainstorm, shuffle. I feel like, yeah, they're definitely on Beanstalk, and I don't want to deal with Beanstalk later. We could force pitch brainstorm. We're not doing anything. We can put Yorion in our hand. I think we force pitch Spell Pierce. Yeah, I don't want to lose unnecessarily. We're pretty far ahead here in terms of cards. If they have a daze, it's devastating. Okay, they don't. All right, so I'll just grab Yorion here probably. Unless I'd like to draw. Oh, that's better than Yorion for sure. So we can put back Skyclave. We don't really want it. So I'm going to go ahead and brainstorm first. And then we can decide what we don't want to keep. All right, Strix is amazing here. And Strix is something we can get back, but we can also get back the Felia. So I think we put back Skyclave, land, and now we just Overlord and get back Felia. And we're, just like that, we're like way ahead, assuming they can't interact. They're brainstorming. This could be a daze. But they opted not to brainstorm and try to find days last time. And if they're on Beanstalk, they may only play like 2 or 3 dazes. Balemurk's in. All right, thank goodness. Felia is going to combo with Overlord, and we are going to go to Value Town very quickly. Yeah, let's get our Felia here, and we'll pass. Oh, wait, we have a land drop. Let's make that land drop. Can never have too much land with this deck. So now, even if they stop our Felia, Overlord is going to get us pretty far. Spell Bomb. Yeah, they're just going to crack it immediately to draw. That's fine. Next turn, we have Felia and Strix. They have 1 card in hand. We have no graveyard, but it shouldn't matter. Because Overlord does give us new cards when we activate him. I'll just go ahead and sewer. Another Overlord is just what the doctor ordered. And I'm going to go ahead and they could have they could have Bowmaster as their last card. That would be embarrassing. I guess if that's the case, then we still have Felia. Felia is more important to resolve. I'm going to go ahead and Felia first. No. If I Felia and they have Bowmaster, they could double ping Felia. I'm going to draw. Blue, black. Okay, please don't have Bowmaster. That's like the one thing that could really screw up our plans here. We still get a card, but they have like a little army to challenge us. Okay, draw trigger. All right, they didn't have it. I'm just going to play it out now to minimize likelihood of hardcast force. Pretty rolled up with this second Overlord. If they do get Beanstalk going, it will be kind of scary, but I think we can overpower it. Felia can take a Murktide. Oh, yeah, that's fine. We're going to get this Overlord going pretty soon anyway, just naturally. So we're favored from here for sure. Solitude's a good rip. I'll just come in for a hug. They could have drawn Daze. It's worth it to just play this out. We still have Yorion that we can grab. Yeah, they just scooped to that. Feels so good to be playing so much value. I think our opponent was a little aggressive with their forces. And I can say that because I play Beanstalk a lot. I won a 1K with Beanstalk. I didn't lose a single game, and I talked about it. If you want to watch that, 6 rounds, not a single game dropped. Pretty proud of that. And I was playing of course, BUG Beanstalk, the superior of the two. I can see that, maybe like Domain Beanstalk is okay, but I don't think it's as strong right now. I don't think either deck is strong right now. So let's take out Lavinia. Oh man, this isn't on my bingo card of decks we'd face. We don't need to make any sideboard substitutions. I don't think that Force Negation would be terrible. Lavinia, not a great card against them. It's not the matchup. Force comes in for that. I think Spell Pierces could be good here. Plows are kind of necessary because I'm going to keep the plows in. I mean, I think it'd be greedy to cut plow when they've got Bowmasters and Murktide in their deck. But I could see like Bowmaster himself or Baleful Strix himself being just fine. And that's another thing I didn't calculate earlier when I was thinking about like the cards we could draw. I didn't factor in the fact that we could just rip Baleful Strix, which is very strong against Murktide. This is a no-lander, easy mulligan. This is a meh hand. We keep it. We put back one of the basics. I'll put back the basic island because if they're going to have any non-basic disruption, it'll probably be some combination of Wasteland and maybe Hullbreacher. We did show them a lot of non-basics last game. Let's play quickly. This could absolutely go to time. Oculus is a good rip. Pairs with Force. We've got our Surveil up. They did not shuffle their Ponder. I'm going to assume they have land. I'm not going to try to cheese. That's not what these Wastelands are for. They're for like Cavern of Souls and Urza Saga and stuff like that. Okay, here's a Wasteland. Beanstalk. Let's not. This is the card that you force. All right, we stopped it. That's great. So we can get the Surveil land out of our deck and get deeper into our deck. I think that's okay. Yeah, I'm going to do that. If they find like Life from the Loam or something, that'll be really devastating. Go ahead and get our archive here. I mean, they need their lands too. I think it's greedy to bin this, but I'm going to do it anyway. If we can find a vial, that'd be great. Oh, Tamio's good. We could just go ahead and waste their waste so we don't have to worry about them wasting us. I think. Or we could just go to their colored source. And then we have 2 more colored sources. Yeah, I'm going to do that. Because this slows down the arrival of Murktide. And it gives them I can't remember the adjective. There's like some, a conundrum that they have to solve. A trolley problem. All right. They probably have Fatal Push here. That would make sense. Murderous Cut. Yeah, Fatal Push. Okay. We're back to having no lands, but we can get basics. We do need a path to a basic. Well, I'll just play this, and I'm going to just hope that they don't have more. Like, at this point, I will keep lands if I surveil into a land, just in case they have another waste. Don't have another Beanstalk. Oh, no. We're going to lose. Bowmaster's good against Beanstalk, but we only have one of them, and they probably have their own Bowmasters. I'm going to surveil here. And we could very well get wasted out of this game, but I'm not going to play scared. Belia is a card we can cast. We could main phase her. Alternatively, she doesn't immediately do anything. I think I'm going to dig deeper. Because like land's good draw here. Vial's an exceptional draw. Don't force it. If they don't force it, they probably can't. Oh, they have Witherbloom. Witherbloom does it. There's the Wasteland we were afraid of. I'll go ahead and pretend like I have something to do with it. Now we're all in on Vial not getting Witherbloomed. If that happens, I'd probably just pack up. Bowmasters. All right. You cast the first Bowmaster. Let he who is without sin cast the first Bowmaster. Now you are going to be punished for that hubris. All right. Always yield. So we'll take up. Can we find a land? We did not find a land. But as long as our Vial stays out, we can just leave it at 2 and we can Bowmaster to take care of their Bowmaster, and then we can Vial. Yeah, please don't blow up my Vial. If you blow up my Vial, the game's over. They Murktide here. We do have an answer to that. Well, it's not over. I mean, it's practically over. They could even potentially daze this. How did things spiral so out of control? Well, first of all, I wasted them, which was totally ineffectual when I should have wasted their waste. And I also binned a land. So I brought this upon myself. I want everyone to know that. I'm not blaming anybody except for myself here. Yeah, and good game. Okay. So I think this is a favorable matchup, but we need to not play dumb. And I think I played dumb there. Yeah, we had like 4 lands. To go from 4 lands to 0 lands, or 1 land, is pretty embarrassing. Like, mistakes were made. Okay. We didn't board out any lands, did we? We just boarded out the Lavinia. Yeah, I think everything's fine. I still don't have any reason to include Lavinia. You could say, oh, Lavinia, but like, I think Murderous Cut and Force are the only cards that it inconveniences. Let's run it back. This time, I'm probably going to go after their wastes. They are clearly more dedicated to a mana denial strategy than I am. They have days and stuff, and I should have factored that in to my decision making when I opted not to waste their waste. All right, so hopefully we actually get a land in our opener this time. I'm going to keep this. I'm going to go Island, Vial, and then we have Tomio as a follow-up. But if they can deal with our Vial, it's very bad. But you don't put back hands that have Vial in them. They shouldn't have a way to interact with basics, but they should know that we're low on land and that this is a high priority force, as if it weren't already obvious that it was a high priority force. Okay. So they're playing Beanstalk, but with Borrower, which is not common. I used to do that some, but I ultimately decided to just play. Okay, so we're getting a trigger here. This is good. All right, perfect. So what I think we do here is we just go ahead and Strix, just to be, or we could Overlord. Overlord cooking. That's not something we can Vial in. It could be dazed. It could be pierced. If we Strix here, we draw closer to the next land in case they have wastes. I think that's an argument for Strixing over Overlording. Also, if they daze Strix, it's less devastating than if they daze Overlord, because Overlord's really strong late game. I'm going to go ahead and do this play. And I can also Vial in Tomio later. They're brainstorming, trying to find a daze. If they find a Bowmaster later, it can get cleared. Okay, that's lucky for us. We drew a Brainstorm, which is not bad. Of course, Tomio can make use of that Brainstorm. Next turn, assuming they don't have Bowmaster here, which would be like the most devastating thing they could have, then we can Strix again. But it looks like this is a Bowmaster. Oh, it's Beanstalk. I can't interact with that, but I can Recruiter and clear it with Skyclave a few turns from now. It always feels bad to do that, but it is the correct thing to do, in my opinion. Like I Prismatic ended up the Beanstalk the other day, and it felt really bad to do it, but like it was an important play. Okay. Yes to the ability. Let's draw. All right, lands. This is great. So we don't want them cantripping off a Beanstalk like 4-star thing, draw. We could flip Tomio. Flip Tomio dies to, but I'd rather them kill or flip Tomio than a Aether Vial if they're going to Witherbloom. Let's think, is there anything else we should do before we go to combat? We have plenty of time on the clock, so I can stop and think for a second. One of the rare moments that you have to think when you're playing this deck because it's so click intensive and so trigger intensive. They're tapped out, so this is a good time to Strix without fear. I think we could Strix and we could Clue. I'm going to go ahead and Strix. I don't have access to white. Okay, so this is the first draw. Delta. Okay, now we have access to white and we could Recruiter. Do I think that it's better? They didn't daze last turn. They could absolutely have a daze. I think what I'm going to do here is I'll attack and then I can brainstorm and I can Overlord and then I can brainstorm after that. Because I like all these cards in my hand and I do want to flip Tamiyo. But if I can flip her for 1 mana, that's better. And it's possible that they force the brainstorm because they don't want to deal with flip Tamiyo. They could have force. So we can crack the clue and we can just guaranteed flip her right now. And then we can Overlord the next turn. We're actually only 1 turn away from just like straight up casting Overlord, or 2 turns. I would love it if they interact with the brainstorm, like if they force, because I don't care about the brainstorm. But I'm worried that that also means that Overlord is going to die. Let's see if we can bait force out. Okay. Venser could be really good. We have another Strix. I kind of want to just Strix. I mean, the Strix is really strong. Venser is a later game thing. We can shuffle them away. Recruiter, fine. If Strix gets countered, it's not that big of a deal. And we're just establishing such a board presence that it's going to be very hard for them to fight through all this. And we're getting our bad Bowmaster cards, like cards that we don't want to get Bowmastered, out of the way. So I'll go get Tundra here. And then we're going to go ahead and Strix. Blue, black, Strix. And they're going to have a total field day with Bowmaster. But we do have the ability to go grab a Bowmaster of our own. Harbinger coming off of Vial. They don't even get to respond with fetches. So I'm going to hope that that's what happens. And then we have Vial, and we don't have the ability to cast anything. But yeah, I think Harbinger is a good play here. I know we don't have other colors yet. Well, wait, we'll have Swamp. Okay. So now I have Spell Pierce too. So I'm going to start right away. Activate. Harbinger. Okay. And now I think we almost certainly win. They're locked on blue as the only color. We've got a tremendous amount of pressure. Island cycling. So again, like Murktide is going to have to fight through an army of these. I think we can just plus here. Just in case they draw a swamp, I don't want to lose. I think this is a perfectly fine moment to go ahead and Balemurk. I'll take a Solitude, I guess, if we find one. I can get Bogart Trawler. Yeah, they scoop. That was just... man, Harbinger is a hell of a card. That's all I have to say about that. Like, even in this matchup where it would seem like, okay, they're like mainly blue, locking them off all their removal and everything, and just getting so many Baleful Strix, yeah, felt incredibly dominant. See you in round 3. All right, round 3, we're up against a heavy hitter. This player is very good. This hand is fine. They're likely on Dimir Tempo, but they could be on Reanimator. They play both. We just need to stay alive. If they're on Tempo, then this is good. We can fetch all our basics. All our basics belong to us. Okay, it looks like they might be... This might be a Netherglyph deck. Some people play... Let's take a look at their list. It was from a month ago. Yeah, Netherglyph. They were not playing that in their Netherglyph list. I wonder what they saw that's making them pause for so long. Uh-oh. Wait, what deck? Oh, no, it's a blue Stompy deck. It's like a Emery deck, probably. Don't chalice me. Spellbomb. Okay, yeah, I am very confident it's a blue Stompy. Grindstone. Okay, it's a blue Painter. All right, well, we can't beat blue Painter, unfortunately. Not with this hand. Skyclave is a good... Oh, well, that changes things. So I'm just going to play this out in case... As much as I want to play that Meticulous Archive, I'm going to play this out just in case they have, Painter plus like a bunch of explosive mana like LED or something like that. We're going to learn a little more about their deck. We can pierce something if we need to. It feels extremely reactive, but if we can survive them dumping their hand onto the table, then we can start to take over. Caution is the word. Pedal. They saw the plow. That's I just realized that was the card they saw. Tamiyo here. That's fine. I'm fine if they flip Tamiyo. Because I can Skyclave that. Maybe next turn I just plow her, and then I have Pierce up. We're doing this in end step, so we don't need to worry about them flipping her and immediately activating her. I don't want that. Yeah, I just don't want it. If they brainstorm, yeah, I think actually I probably do need to take this. Yeah, I'll take it. Because Spell Pierce may not be useful. Okay, so options. One, we get this bad Meticulous Archive out of our hand. We don't have Plow Up. We can't do that. Option 2, we drop Tomio. We have Force and Plow Up. I think that's the play. And I'll just let them get their crack in with Tomio. It's going to make their constructs huge. But we get 2 Tundras in a row. And then we just consign the Flip Tomio. Or we Skyclave the Flip Tomio. And we've got so many... Just drawing a card. Okay, never mind. That's no big deal. Took 2 damage to do that. They're already at 13, which is noteworthy. Because we do have the ability to like push damage pretty quickly. This is fine. I'm going to give them the clue. Again, I just would hate to have a Brainstorm ruin my parade here. I guess I could have blocked that just in case of Kaito. I don't think Kaito will come. Saga is pretty brutal. Again, this is the card that we can't do anything about. There's always the hope that we draw Harbinger. 1 out of 70 cards in our deck right now. There's the Servant. They do have the mana to use it, so I just have to chill. Wait for him to use it, and then I can plow it. And then I have Force. I can't crack this fetch, though. Everything's blue, so they have their own Force, I presume. So I can pitch this Meticulous Archive. All right, so we just have to be very careful about when we fetch. They're doing it. Okay, so now I can fetch. Let's go get our Tundra. Plow here. They Force, and we can Pierce it, which is pretty good value. I think that's better. I think it's better to Pierce here than it is to... I mean, there's still very much in it with these Urza Saga constructs. So we milled 2 cards. Milled a Witch Enchanter, which would have been a pretty good draw, and a Vial. Yeah. We're tapped out. Okay, so we have Skyclave to answer her. Do we want to do that? If we wait a turn, we can Skyclave. I mean, this is just going to get really bad, though, is the thing. Every turn, they're going to get another clue, which is going to make their constructs even bigger. They're hellbent, but these constructs are going to be an ordeal. Let's see, there'll be 4, and then there'll be like 6, probably. Let's see, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, we need to get rid of this Tomio. And now is a clean opportunity for us to do so. It sucks. I don't like 2-for-1ing myself, especially because Skyclave can do so much, but I do feel it's correct. And now we can get the Archive out of our hand. We are shields down against a second Painter here. That is actually really good. Yeah, I'm happy to see that. So they're only going to be able to get 1 construct, which is still a lot of work to undo. If they have Painter, there's nothing we can do. They do not have the mana to do it immediately, but we know we're drawing Wasteland. Another Urza Saga, my goodness! Best possible. I think that's the best possible. Like, other than Painter. So the question is, do we want to... I think we need to waste this one to reduce the number of lands they're going to get. It sucks. It really sucks. But yeah, like Wasteland is pretty clutch here. This is what we put Wasteland in our deck for. We can see what we top deck first. I am going to go ahead and crack. Baleful Strix is probably the best draw, just because it can like draw us and absorb one of the constructs. Recruiter's good for next turn. What does Recruiter get? Oh, Recruiter goes and gets Harbinger, which answers this, but it's already going to answer itself. So Recruiter will just go get a Strix probably. Yeah, they can just create it. It doesn't matter. The sequencing does not matter. I figured they were going to do that. Okay, so they do get 2 constructs here, and they're big because of the clue. They're disincentivized from cracking the clue. I think Recruiter does go get Harbinger. We're still 2 turns away from starting to hardcast Solitude. I'll be able to look at my deck when I Recruiter, and I can see what I want to grab. It'll also be interesting to see what tech they get. They might get the Lava Spur Boots just to do more damage. Done a lot of damage to themselves here. Is there anything we can do to punish that? Felia can blink one of those each turn. She might be the get. Yeah, if they get they can potentially kill us very quickly if they get the Lava Spore Boots. So we've got 2 cards in hand. If another one's an Urza Saga, I'm just going to cry because we're never beating that. I really don't like Urza Saga. Like I'm not saying it should be banned or anything like that, but like it's just so frustrating as a control mage because there's like nothing you can do about it. I wouldn't be surprised if Urza Saga was doing it as much to crowd out control as Sowing Mycospawn was doing, because you just have to play Wasteland. And if you're playing Wasteland, why not go into tempo? All right, so they opted to get an Opal. We're still dead to top-decked Painter, which is not a good feeling. But we can't play around Painter here. We just have to accept it. There's Emery, which is annoying as heck. Gosh, how are we going to deal with all this value? Luckily, they don't have a Painter in their yard yet, but they might get one. They got another Grindstone. They have Lotus Petal. They have Spell Bomb, which is annoying, and they can draw every turn off the bauble, and they can just buff their constructs. That was not the draw we needed to see. All right, so we Recruiter. We get Felia. Felia can start blinking constructs, but again, I'm not convinced it's good enough. I'm just going to go ahead and cast. There's like a very small chance that they could be playing Daze. No, they couldn't be playing Daze. Let's just do it like this. I think we need to get Felia. Felia is maybe too slow. So they attack for at least 10 next turn. I think Strix is probably just as good as Felia because it takes out 1. Venser's pretty good. I think I like Venser here because it also pitches the force in case they do draw the... then we just Venser 1 and then we can block. We can just buddy block the other one. No, we'll just have a chump block. Yeah, I'm going to get Venser. And then no Surveil or anything at the end of the turn. I'm not going to block this turn. So I will come in with Tamio to get a clue. And maybe we use this clue if the game goes on long enough. Yeah, we're going to take at least 10 here. Maybe 12. But I don't think it's correct to chump. I don't know that this is a favorable matchup, even though we have like kind of endgame inevitability. And the reason is it really does come down to Urza Saga. Bringing back a Petal. What does this mean? We just need the mana. It's possible that Strix was actually a better get than Venser there. Stock up. I can't stop that. They're at 5 life. I wish I had a way to punish that. I mean, if I get Yorion and put him in play... So we take care of one of the constructs. They have another Tamio too. That creates clues, which increases damage. Yeah, we're going to take all this. So I Venser one of them. You've got to be kidding me. This is so brutal. Yeah, I don't think we beat this. I'm not going to use any more clock. All right. Stay strong. Put on a brave face. Consign is worth bringing in here. I don't think we bring in Force Negation or anything like that. They do have a lot of artifacts, so Consign is worthy. I don't think they're going to go after our mana at all, which makes me want to cut Trawler and probably the basic Swamp. No, we are going to hopefully Harbinger them, so I can cut... Let's cut a scrub. We don't want no scrubs. Lavinia is actually really good here. Spell Pierce potentially good. Yeah, I feel like this is fine. I'm just disappointed that we had to pitch cast Skyclave, but I do feel like it was correct. They would have stacked up even more clues. Tamio and Urza Saga are like, PB and Jelly. Like they're so strong together. Okay, this is the combo hand. We are absolutely going to do this. I'll Surveil, get the Black Source, and then I'll Overlord. No, it makes more sense to Felia first. No, I'm going to Overlord first because then I have Karakas to protect my Felia if they try to push. Or, Dismember, whatever they might do. I almost freaking clicked through my turn. How embarrassing would that have been? I was just like thinking about the sequencing and just, tapping the OK button, which I have bound to A. Gabe Newell from Valve does not do WASD. He does like ESDF. And I do kind of like a similar thing with my bindings. Okay, so let's surveil. And then it is tempting to just Crocus back so they don't get to attack. And then we also hold up Consign. I think that's correct. They're not going to go after our mana at all, I don't think. I think we bend this. Drew one anyway, so I'm glad I bend it. I'm just going to do this now to minimize the likelihood of them being able to flip her. Now we've got Consign up. Next turn, we've got Overlord, and then we've got Felia. What we'll probably do is actually Felia. That way we can hold up Consign in case we need it. We'll see what they do. I'm just going to Consign that. This card is super scary because they have lots of ways of getting the Grindstone out of the deck with Urza Saga. So you stop the Painter and you don't worry about the Grindstone too much. So now we have the option of just wasting but I think we need to hold waste for Urza Saga. So I think the play here is we play the Tundra. Yeah, we play the Tundra and now we have Karakas and Felia up. So we can Felia and then Karakas. And if they have an Urza Saga, it's okay. I'll waste it next turn. It would make sense for them to play the Painter first, so we wouldn't counter it and then play the Urza Saga. 4 cards in hand. What do you got, friend? There's Tamio. She's back. I can Karakas her if they do anything. White, blue. Do you have the Force? I am going to go ahead and just make efficient use of this because I'm making Dismember now if they want to. They are dismembering. They maybe... Okay, they're not doing anything. All right, great. Spell Pierce is a great rip. I think we hide the Wasteland. We don't need to play it out. It doesn't do anything until the Urza Saga hits the table. Black, colorless, Overlord. And now they need the Spell Bomb. Okay, we're going to get back a Hullbreacher. I think is probably scarier than Tamio at this point. Now let's go to combat. Would you like to bounce? It's too late. You should have bounced, in my humble opinion. Now we're going to get a flipped Overlord, and this game is going to be over pretty quickly. We get a +1. We get a 5/5 creature that generates value every single turn. We still have Spell Pierce up. Let's get a Harbinger. Just cleanly deals with... I don't think we need it. I think I'll get the Strix here. We can get Harbinger later. Unless they exile our graveyard. But right now, Harbinger does functionally nothing. Cast. Well, we can't Hullbreacher yet, so that's going to resolve. I'll let it resolve. They can Spellbomb the Overlord back to our hand. I want to pierce something successfully, though. I don't like spending mana just to tap down land and stuff like that. This is a window where we can pierce. We should fetch anyway. I think I'm just going to go get... I think this is a opportunity to pierce. What are they going to name? I think I just let them do this because they can't name Felia. And pierce might be good against like something later. They might name Karakas here just so they can get their Tamio out. Yeah. If they go ahead and bobble, I'll just upkeep Hullbreacher to stop their triggers. That's fine. All right. I will Hullbreacher and I will have Pierce up to stop Force. And I think that'll probably just end the game because I'm going to get 2 treasure tokens. They're not going to get their cards. Yeah, they just scoop. All right. Okay, game 3. That felt good, by the way. It feels good when you draw your combo. Okay, so I think we just run it back. There's an argument for putting Trawler back in the deck and taking out one of our other lands because we don't really care that much about life loss. We could take out a Scrubland. Oh, we already took out oh, it's too late. Okay. Yeah, but Trawler, like being able to, they do use their graveyard for a few things. Okay, so this hand's, I think this is not a good hand. The reason is we don't have the right colors. Wasteland is not strong enough. We don't have any interaction. We can't do anything for the first few turns. So this is an easy mulligan. This is a much better hand. Bowmaster is potentially very good. Tamio, definitely good. I think we could put back the sewers and we can open Tamio and then go into Balemurk. Yeah, let's do that. Bolting in a land for a Tamio. All right, well, we're going to Crocus it again. Bobble. They may be able to like stack it to where they can draw enough cards to flip her. I think it's better to hold Tamio, our own Tamio, to pitch to force here. And we'll just go ahead and do this now. And if they want to put a lot of resources into flipping her, that's okay. They may wait a turn. No, they're just going to fire it off. Okay, so we're not going to get Bowmaster equity. Bowmaster will be good against their deck. They're playing like Thoughtcast and stuff. They're kind of playing like 8-cast, I guess, is 8-cast Painter. That's bad for us. Pedal. So next turn, I think we just Balemurk, because we can't Bowmaster the trigger. Tommy's back. I can't do anything about that. All right, they can flip her at will. Solitude. So Balemurk, and then we could Solitude her. We could just Crocus her, but then we don't. We could Crocus her. I don't want to play out the Tamio though. I feel like I need to be able to force a Painter here. I think Balemurk is fine. Balemurk is. There's a decent chance that we flip a creature. It's like 70 or 80% that we find a creature here. They are going to be able to create clues, which do buff their constructs. I'd be happy if they forced here because I don't really care that much. Like the Bowmaster is the card I really want to resolve, but I don't think Bowmaster is going to be good enough, frankly. Urza Saga is just so hard to beat. They're definitely thinking about forcing here. They don't have a lot of mana, but I don't think I can force just because I have to respect Painter. Because they can go get Grindstone and they can just Painter us very easily and win. We've got plenty of time on the clock to think though. Other thinking, I'm going to just show you the hypergeometric math. So we have 34 creatures in our deck. 4 of them are avatars. They can't be returned. That's 30. We have 72 cards in our deck. Okay, they are opting to force. They're indecisive about whether they should force here. Okay, but let's just do like for the whole deck. 34. So 30 hits. And we do our hypergeometric math. We'll just say 80. We get a sample size of 4. 30 successes. 85% of the time. So that's pretty good. It's just good deck building. Like both Overlord and Vial push you into playing a lot of creatures. So I'm not playing Teferi, even though he's really good. I'm not playing. I am playing the 2 Pierces, but I might be able to cut those. They've been okay so far. We could play more creatures. The main thing is just finding blue creatures. There aren't that many playable blue creatures, other than like Delver style creatures like Murktide and Delver of Secrets. So I've struggled to find, and I'm not wanting to go back to Gilded Drake because Gilded Drake, there's just so many situations where Gilded Drake is not relevant. Okay, so they're pitching a Tamio. We're done a Tamio. So I think we just let this happen just in case. And now we just have to beat the constructs in the top of their deck. They will get to draw a card, but if they don't draw a land, they may have land. Okay, this is very good for us if they don't have land. All right, so they're going to have to use this pedal to create the construct. Options. We keep Tamio in our hand. I don't think we go all force just out of respect for the fact that they can just win. I think we do Karakas Tamio back to hand, and then we have Bowmaster up. If they react with like some sort of brainstorm or draw trigger type thing, we could do this during their turn. I think we could just wait till their turn. I kind of wish I put the planes in instead of this because this could have gone and gotten the Surveillant. Oh wait, we haven't played a land yet. Did we? Oh, it says be excellent plays Piao. Sometimes there's like a bug where it like uses the opponent's name instead of the name of things. I have no idea what caused that. But yeah, we can't play another land. So I'm just going to chill. Then during the upkeep, they're going to make... I can't imagine a world in which they don't make one here. They opt a clue, crack. Well, I am going to punish this. Bounce that back to hand. Would you like to brainstorm? I don't think they're playing brainstorm because they're not playing fetch lands. We go to Tundra. Well, Bowmaster's here. We will force to protect this. And then if they just have Painter, it's brutal. We might be able to find a white card for Solitude in time, but I do think we want to force to protect this. It's crazy that they went for the clue there, but I guess they're really like in on paintering us rather than killing us with constructs because they realize their mana is so constrained. It might be a mistake to force here. Let's think about this. So they don't create a construct. They put it on the stack. They go get the painter. We're perennially kind of like up against painter. Bowmaster does speed up our clock significantly though. The clue, like if they actually crack the pedal to create the construct, okay, we're in. All right, we don't have to force. That's great. Now we get another trigger here. They get a card. They probably have a force judging by like their reticence there, which makes us being able to force all the more important. I'd be stunned if they created a construct here. I think they're going to go get Grindstone and they're going to have Painter. And then we're going to need to find a land or a white card for Solitude. Pithing Needle. Okay. They're going to shut down Caracas. Okay. They do have Tamio again. Spell Bomb. That's fine. Tamio's back. They can use either Spell Bomb to protect their Tamio. Tamio can block. I think I always have a white card if I need it. I didn't think about that. Okay, so now that we have this Brainstorm, I do think that it's correct to go ahead and just play out Tamio. We play out Tamio, and we still have Force on Brainstorm. Yeah, I'm just gonna grab Yorion here. So Yorion pairs with Solitude as well. We're 1 mana away from just being able to Yorion. So I like having both Force and Solitude up just for insulation. I'll go ahead and Tamio here. And then I'll just attack, even though it's only going to do 1. Pretty sure they're going to block. Every damage we do matters because they use Ancient Tomb. They use this, Sink Into Super. Fine. I guess I could have attacked first, and then they would have maybe feared the follow-up Bowmaster, so I could have gotten extra damage. Yeah, it wasn't an optimal play. Hopefully it doesn't come down to like them having 2 life, and that's the end state of the game because that will be my fault. If they get a clue here that they can't really use. If they had another Urza Saga, that would be pretty devastating though, because it would be pretty big. They are just so constrained on mana here. That is totally fine. I'm just going to ping them. They do flip their Tamio, which is fine. I can kill Tamio pretty quickly with my army. Opal. They've got 4 more cards in hand. So if I do draw a land for Yorion, what I can do is I can Yorion and I can blink Bowmaster. Oh, they're spellbombing that. Yeah, that is a problem. Yeah, I'd forgotten that they had that for some reason. It was right up there on the open. But that does mean that Tamio can, attack and stuff. I do think we can find a way to get rid of her. Wasteland for their only land feels pretty good. I think Yorion blinking and getting an army is better than wastelanding their only land. Yeah. Just going to go ahead and come in here just for a clue. And then I'll Yorion. Yorion will be able to keep Tamio in check. The other alternative is to just go ahead and Brainstorm here, which flips my Tamio. I don't have anything I can buy back though. But keeping Yorion in hand gives me the option of either forcing or solituding. And I might find a good card that I can put into play. I'm trying to think of what I would find. Like a Skyclave Apparition would be pretty good because we could just get rid of Tamio. If they minus, they can get back Force or Thoughtcast. If we put the Bowmaster ping on it, that removes the option of them being able to do that. I kind of think it might be correct to go ahead and just Brainstorm and then waste them, because they've been very mana constrained the entire game. But then we don't necessarily have Yorion later. And Yorion is just a big game piece that does a lot of damage. They don't have a lot of mana, so I don't think there's fear of us losing to Painter plus Grindstone. They may be multi-queuing. This is like the second or third time they've just waited for like 2 minutes. All right, we are going to go ahead and come in for the attack. Create the clue. I am going to opt to go ahead and just play Yorion. There's possibility of like Steel Sabotage. That would require them to use their pedal. Actually, you know what? I am going to Brainstorm. It flips the Tamio. It's mana efficient. And then we have the option of wastelanding them. I will do it with the, since we have multiple blue spells. Yeah, let's go ahead and brainstorm here. We've got less than 3 minutes on the clock. It's going to be really frustrating. Like, it's always very frustrating to lose to somebody who, like, runs away, essentially. And, like, oh, okay, they just scooped. Okay, cool. Yeah, we were going to, I think we Witch Enchanter there and just blow up, like, their Moxel Pool is probably what I would have done. Just that reduces their land without us having to reduce our own land. And then we still have Solitude and Force Up. Yeah. So we're 3-0. This has felt good. These have all been like 2-1 games, though. It's not like we're just blowing people out of the water. But what I find is, again, control decks often lose game one. And you have to kind of like figure out how to win in time. We're up against one of the most famous tempo players, Silvio Wataru, I think from Brazil. Most recently seen on, excuse me, coughing fit, Delver. This hand is fine. I think this is a good anti-Delver hand. We don't have access to a second basic because we drew our Scalding Tarn, but I think it's fine. Yeah, I'm going to just open Vial. If they're on Delver, they can't really do anything about Vial other than bounce it back to hand with their one Brazen Borrower. They force, I'll force back. It's that important. Now we can get Surveils out of our deck. I don't have any illusions of Hullbreacher doing much here. They are opting not to play anything, so they're on Reanimator, and they're just discarding a Reanimatable Fatty. Yeah. Okay, well that's scary. But again, we have a pretty good sideboard strategy against that. All right. This can get a Plains. I'd rather use this. I'm definitely going to Surveil here. So we're just going to force here, and then we can go get, once this gets up to 3, we just go get the Bog or Bogart Trawler. It's going to be so frustrating if they just have force, but they probably just have force. We have to force here. They may have just have multiple reanimation effects. Oh, wow. Okay, well, that's great for us. So we can, they don't have another land. No, wait, that's their land for turn. Okay. So I'm going to get my white land because we want to maximize the number of white lands we have. Tamio is an above average draw. However, yeah, I think actually she's fine at this point. Our opponent is almost certainly going to reanimate again. Maybe we do need to dig. We can go get Yorion this turn. Yeah, I'm going to put this in the yard. I know it might seem crazy. We'll probably just draw a land or something ineffectual. No, we draw a very good card. Okay. So, Recruiter could get dazed. We force with land up, so they could still have daze. We could Strix first. And then if we draw a Bogart Trawler, I am going to go for it. Draw trigger. I'm doing this around Bowmasters just in case they have Bowmasters. I don't think they likely do. I think we do want to wait on Recruiter here. What I can do is I can fetch Surveillant. I think they're likely just going to reanimate again next turn. So we will need to find... I'll just put... Yeah, instead, I'm going to go ahead and put Yorion in the hand. And then we can just go get a Solitude for Atraxa. Yeah, we have plenty of other white cards, so it's fine to just do this. Clock is of utmost importance, so I'm going to try to play faster. My opponent plays very fast. Okay, here's the Animate Dead, reloading the hand. The only consolation is that they haven't played very many cards, so they are going to have to discard a lot of cards. That's fine. So they're going to probably have to discard... This will net them some cards and a big body. So unfortunately, they're going to be able to entomb and reanimate, which really sucks because now we have to deal with freaking the other creature too. Brazen and reanimate. Okay. Delta. So they didn't take the force. They didn't take the ponder. Okay. That's what they took. Yeah. And unfortunately, getting that out of the way. Okay. They discarded the Delta. We can probably assume they still have a Delta in hand. Okay. Bowmasters doesn't do very much. It does produce a body so that we could keep the Strix alive for one turn cycle. Options. I think we just go get Bajuka Bog or the Bogart Trawler, and then we can put him in at instant speed if they discard. Yeah, I think that's what the play. They could Thoughtseize him out of our hand and force our hand? Yeah, I'm going to do that. We're in. Trawler is definitely the get. I mean, we could... They do have Borrower, but it's not going to matter if we can get this out of the way. They can get a swing in. So they can just chill and wait for something to come up. There's like no hurry for them. They Thoughtseize. Unfortunately, yeah, this is exactly what they needed. I might as well put the Bogart Trawler in just so I have more material here. I'm trying to think of a reason why I wouldn't want to do that. Yeah, and now they just get to do what they want to do. I don't think Bowmaster was going to do it. Hit their yard. We still may be able to find an answer, but we need to find 2 answers now. As long as we have enough creatures, Baleful Strix can keep this alive. If they take Orcish Bowmaster, I'll know they have a daze. Or I can presume that they have a daze to stop Yorion. But I think Orcish Bowmaster is probably the more powerful of the 2 cards here. I mean, Yorion does blink. Yeah, I definitely think they take the Yorion unless they have, something to stop Yorion. And I could wait a turn with Vial and then get Vial out. And the thing is, they're going to be able to reanimate again if they have a second animation spell. Entomb is just so busted. There's the Entomb. There's the freaking, Archon that removes our creatures, makes us discard. Just a nightmare, absolute nightmare of a card that they get for 1 mana. Okay, so I think here, the creature that dies, Trawler, Recruiter can go get more stuff. We discard the land because we'll need a white card if we find a Solitude. That way we can cast it around days. If they attack with the Traxa, we probably just have to take it because we need a blocker to stop this Archon. They have 5 cards left in hand. Yeah, I mean, it's very real that they could just reanimate Atraxa again. Okay, I'm gonna block. I think this game is a lost cause anyway. We need Solitude right now. Overlord would be fine because that would dig for Solitude. What could we draw here? There aren't any 3s. We could draw Venser. I'm gonna go up. Overlord. They're totally gonna force this. Okay, now they're totally gonna force our Solitude, and I am not gonna wait on Solitude. Oh wait, we didn't find a Solitude. We did find a Strix. That is the card that we need to play, and we will see whether they have a daze here, which is likely. We've never given them an opportunity to daze anything. Yeah, good game. Okay, postboard. Yeah, they would have wiped our hand. They would have gained more, drew a card, made us discard, killed our... Yeah, we were not surviving that. Archon was just not meant to be played the way... Like when Wizards of the Coast prints these fatties, they're not planning for you to be able to get them on the table turn 2 for 1 black mana and also have daze and Force of Will to ensure that happens. The deck is just broken tier. But again, we are coming equipped. So we take out the cards in my sideboard guide. We're taking out Lavinia. We're taking out Witch Enchanter. I think we took out 2 Wastelands. Is what we're doing. Because you just don't waste this deck. There's no point in wasting a deck that can win with a single black mana source. So I'm going to take out 1 Wasteland and I'm going to take out a Harbinger. That doesn't do anything here. All right, let's go. Can we beat one of the best players in the world on the best deck currently legal? This hand has Force. It doesn't have anything else going for it. Solitude can keep us alive. There's real risk in mulling a hand like this, but I feel like it's so slow. This hand is better. I think we just play turn 1 Tamio off island. Then we use Wasteland and land to draw in the end step if we need to. We have Solitude, so the card that's going to go back... But I'm certainly tempted to put back... I think we put back Strix with the presumption that there's a decent chance that they have Bowmaster in their deck. They mulled the 6 as well. 16 minutes on my clock, 20 on theirs. Island. And I'm not going to hold up Spell Pierce because I think it is important to get on the board and start accruing some value. And also I think that there's a high likelihood that this gets days later if we don't play it now. Basic land. Thoughtseize. Okay. So they can just play around Spell Pierce. They probably take Solitude here. That's something they can reanimate, and then they can just kill our dude with our own creature, which really sucks. Yeah, I don't think we can beat Reanimated Solitude if that's what they take. They took the Pierce. Okay, interesting. So they probably have Entomb Reanimate, and they just don't want to... They want to get the value even if we're going to be able to remove the creature. So I do think this is a better card than what we have, but it gives them perfect information about what we have. If we just play the Wasteland, we're not going to be able to surveil and manipulate a draw. I am going to go ahead and just play it out. Because, yeah, they know we don't have anything. It sucks that we have to give them that information, but I don't think it's incorrect to do so. And I'm going to keep Solitude up. We'll just do this in the end step. In case, like an Archon or something like that. I don't know. Like, there's really not a lot we can do. Brainstorming. That may mean we don't die this turn. I'm going to go get a Tundra, and I'm just going to crack this. We don't get Bowmaster this turn. That much is pretty assured. We don't have a way to bounce Solitude back to our hand, unfortunately, in this deck. We can blink it with Felia. That's the only way we have if they do choose to reanimate Solitude later. They can shuffle their deck. Like, one of the other great things about Entomb is it is like a kind of like a fetch land in that you can just shuffle your deck after you brainstorm. And I suspect they have that card. That is my double, like, yeah, anyway, I won't talk about ban this. We'll wait for another week and see whether Wizards has the sense to reban it. Yeah. Again, reban because it was banned for like 12 years and they never should have brought it back. It was a huge mistake. Strix, it's unfortunate. We can't use that. They have Atraxa in their yard. Skyclave doesn't do enough. Right. Yeah, we can't hit their mana. I think I just have to settle in and prepare to fight through an Atraxa. We do have double exile-based removal here. We have to choose whether we want to try to rip a force here, or we could potentially get a Fairy Macabre. Okay, let's try that. I want to live in that world. Okay, well, we do have the Plow before the trigger goes on the stack, but they could daze it, and then we have to Solitude. I do need to get rid of this card. Okay, that is a relief. Now we just need to survive the value that created. Okay, I see Archon of Cruelty and Reanimate, and they can actually discard. They may be able to discard Archon to freaking hand size. Yeah, they're almost certainly going to be able to discard Archon to hand size. So tilting. So freaking tilting. And then, Archon comes in, and by that point they'll have Force for Solitude, so Archon will stick. Polluted Delta, Reanimate, Force of Will, Murktide. What? They didn't take the Archon? They could have just discarded it. Okay, I'm not worried about Murktide. Force, Polluted Delta. Maybe I should be worried about it. Okay, so Delta, Reanimate, Force, Murktide. And they played the Delta. Okay. Takes a while to do that. Black would be great. I would love to have a Baleful Strix here. Okay, they're going to go ahead and do something now. Of course they had it freaking Entomb. Yeah. Of course they had it. All right. Well, we get a turn cycle. Force is a great draw. It's probably not enough because they had their own Force over there. Let's go ahead and draw. I need to get a land here. I got a land. That's good. Do we want to go ahead and just Strix now? I think we should, just for forward momentum. I'm going to get a scrub land here. Yeah, just to ensure I have white. So now, depending on whether this resolves, it does. Okay, good. Now we've got a way to at least kill Archon. Oh, no. Wait, I can choose Planeswalker or creature, so I'll just sacrifice the Planeswalker and keep the Strix around. And then we Strix again next turn. And, yeah, gosh, we'll see what happens here. But we can rest assured that Reanimate is going to be cast, and it is going to be targeting Archon here. This is Dismember. Oh, what was that? Okay, so we force this. They have to force back, unless they daze. Now this resolves. Comes into play. I sacrifice Tamio. I will have to discard this Baleful Strix, which is a bummer. Wait, I sacrifice Strix and then I can regrow Plow? Ah, they're freaking dismembering now. Okay. Gosh, such a beating. Okay, so I'm gonna be completely hellbent, and I'm gonna have nothing going on. But their 2 monsters will be out of their deck. Assuming, wait, they've got a freaking Murktide in hand. Did they pitch that? They did. Okay, so they don't have a Murktide in hand. So that resolves. So there's no reason not to wait to their turn. Okay, so hear me out. We can keep the Strix, and we can just grab Yorion and use that to pitch cast Solitude. No, we want to pitch cast. So I can discard Skyclave, and then I can, Yorion to pitch cast, and then I can Strix. But they're going to draw a card, and it could be like a force blue card. So I'm going to let that resolve. Here, I mean, we could just go grab Yorion. Next turn, is Yorion better than Strix? I think Strix is probably better than Yorion at this point, because it represents a block. So I'm going to pitch Skyclave, and I'm just going to hope that they don't have Force. But that gets really dicey if they have Thoughtseize. All right, I'm going to go for it. Because there's a risk, like there's risk of Daze, but there's also risk of Thoughtseize. They have plenty of mana available. They had a second Force. They forced blue card. Okay, so we're totally like beholden to the top of our deck here. I think we've lost. This is so frustrating. So freaking frustrating. This is like my least favorite deck to play against. I'll play against Eldrazi all day. I don't like playing against this deck. Okay, I probably say that, is it a Plow? Oh my goodness, what a bunch of... we're going to take 9. We're going to have to discard. We can at least hit some of their cards, and we get one more shot at finding it. Yeah, I'm going to be mana efficient. I'm going to put Yorion in the hand. If they Thoughtseize me, then they get the Yorion too. I can't waste because I should have pretended I had more action up than I actually do. Okay, they're going to fetch. Yeah, I feel like they had the Force, so it didn't really matter what we did there. But we would have been able to... Yeah, we'd still be dying in this way. Finding, like, even if we had Baleful Strix, it would have died here. They've got tons of cards in hand now. They've got this monster that does direct damage. We're at 4. They can finish this off with like a Bowmasters at this point. They've still got gas in the tank. Yeah, sorry, my excellent friends. I was really hoping to get a trophy here. This is a good matchup. But just because it's a good matchup doesn't mean you can't just randomly like lose to a really skilled player. Yeah, Douthie does it too. Yeah, so we need to find Plow into Plow. Solitude doesn't do it. Overlord of Balemurk won't find... Wait, Overlord of Balemurk could get back Solitude. Yeah, that's a game. Very sad. Okay. And again, banned and restricted in like 1 week, and they better freaking ban Entomb. I'm going to be so pissed if they don't. All right. See you in round 4. Round 5. All right. Our opponent in round 5 got a trophy yesterday with Cradle Control. I think this is fine. Turn 1 Vial. Turn 2 Overlord. Yeah, this is great. I'm going to keep this. We don't have any interaction for their creatures. We may flip like a Solitude. Once upon a time. Okay, so they're probably still on it. Here's their list from yesterday. Heavy on the Sithcat Cub. Yeah, they just have tons of threats. This is not a favorable matchup. Because there's just a sheer volume of threats. Sylvan Safekeeper, pretty nightmare of a card to deal with. Karakas doesn't do anything against their deck, unfortunately. So we have to go get Underground Sea here. No, wait, we'll get Scrubland. Maybe we find a Tamio. That'd be awesome. Something we can play immediately. Oops. Okay, we found Witch Enchanter. Not the most powerful card. Something that does pitch to Endurance. Hullbreacher's blank cardboard in this matchup. It's just a beater. Best draw on the deck will be Felia from here. Reclaimer is pretty brutal. They can go get Cradle with that. Swing. They opt not to swing in. Yeah, I guess technically we could put it in a 1-drop. They don't know what's in our deck. They certainly know by now that we're on Esper Vial, though. So here we can Hullbreacher and we can go get like... I think we start just getting Baleful Strixes. Solitude's a good rip. They can sack a land to counter this. So I definitely don't want to like pitch cast this. It's too expensive. And I think I'm just going to go Recruiter into Baleful Strix just so I have something to cast. Oh, wait. I could get Bowmaster and force them to sack a land. Actually, I think that's okay. Yeah, I'm going to do that. And then after they do that, I can also maybe get them to use their other land, pitch cast Witch Enchanter to Solitude, and just try to tempo out their lands. They have 5 lands in hand, though. And a single Cradle like makes up for all that. Let's think. Next turn, we don't have any silver bullets to just rock their world. I think we just get Felia and do Overlord combo with Felia. Yeah, I think I'm going to do that. I said earlier that Felia is the best draw in the deck, and she is. So why not just go ahead and put her in hand? We are going to be kamikazing her into that Overlord, though. Or into probably their Reclaimer. We're very vulnerable here. Natural Order would be pretty brutal, too, if they do have the Cradle. They can go get the Cradle. There's Sith Cat. This can do a lot of damage very quickly. They have the land drop. Opting not to attack. Put Felia in. We do want to tick this up. We're just going to try to tick up toward Solitude, Yori, and stuff like that. Do they play Endurance? They have 4 Endurance. Oh. Land for turn. Hullbreacher can come in just as a surprise chump if they attack with the Sylvan Safekeeper for some reason. I do think it is correct to go ahead and just exile Overlord here. I just wish there was something more we could do with Felia other than just get an Overlord ahead of schedule. We could blink this. We go get Bowmaster. It comes in step. We could just get a bunch of Baleful Strixen. I think it's better to just have the big blocker. Okay, I'm gonna be decisive here. We're gonna play out the sewers just as a way to mill something. I can attack with Felia, get the trigger, and then I can just Karakas her back to hand. Skyclave doesn't do enough. And putting it in the yard, like we can get it back in step if we need to. So I'm just going to come in for a hug here. They are opting to phase out our Felia, it looks like. This triggers. This stops. Gosh, what do we do here? I think there's no reason to bounce her back to hand. She'll just come back next turn and be able to attack. And I'm just going to let him do it. Okay. So we don't get an attack. I'm going to go get Yori in here. And we have Hullbreacher as surprise blocker. Balemurk is only 2 turns away. This Sith Cat Cub does have trample. Natural Order would be disaster. They are adding a lot of mana to their mana pool. I think we definitely need to just start chaining Strixes together. That's how we survive. This could go get, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and activate this. Because this could go get, what's it called? Yeah, so we've got this card in play. Collector Oof is brutal. But they could just get more Sith Cat Cubs. Yeah, there we go. Land drop. Oh, double land drop. Yeah, we're going to lose so quickly to this thing. It can double the counters. And they trigger twice. So, yeah, they can they kill us? I mean, this is crazy, the amount of damage they're going to be putting out. Sylvan Safekeeper just sitting there the entire time ensuring that we are unable to defend ourselves. They have like a Natural Order or something, or they can just Elvish Reclaimer, 10. Wow, it's just brutal. I haven't seen this. 1818? Yeah, there's nothing to see here. Because again, freaking Sylvan Safekeeper shutting off our interaction. All right. So, no sideboard substitutions to make here, unfortunately. Yeah, not a single thing. Let's run it back. Yeah, there are bad cards that we'd like to cut, but I don't think that, Lavinia is necessarily worse. Take Lavinia out and put it in Force Negation. But Lavinia pitch casts to Solitude, which will be relevant if our opponent doesn't have a turn 1 card that like negates our removal. This would be a good matchup to bring in Plague Engineer, but it's not playable. It's just too narrow. Double Sith Cat, just like, gosh, so much trample damage. Nothing we can do about that. If we had Cauldron on our deck, we could just throw Cauldron in front of it and exile it before it does damage. That would be nice. I don't think that Esper Vial and Stoneforge Mystic belong in the same deck. That is a conclusion I've drawn from trying many experiments to get them in the same deck. All right, I don't think our opponent sideboarded. They let the clock go all the way down. It's possible they didn't have any sideboard decisions to make it. They just wanted to go make a sandwich. All right. Force Hand. Recruiter. They're not going to disrupt our mana. I don't think this is fast enough. This is fine. It's not great. Plow for one of their creatures. We put back a land. We just surveil a couple turns in a row. I'll put back the island. We have no reason to play on basics against this deck. I'm not happy with this keep, but it's fine. I don't want to go deeper. We'll go get our Meticulous Archive so we have Plow up. I'll just be so devastated if they have Sylvan Safekeeper again. That card is really good against us. Recruiter. I think if we just keep getting Baleful Strix, the only way they can win is Giant Sith Cap. I mean, like I say, the only likely outcome of the game, the end state, is them attacking with a Giant Sith Cat, because they have to win through attacking for damage, and they don't have removal on their deck. And if they do have removal, it's cards like Snuff Out, which suck against. Let's see, Force Snuff Out, and then they can just phase out. They do have Force of Vigor, but I'd be stunned if they brought in Force of Vigor. They might. You can see that this is very much a good deck to bring in Grafdigger's Cage if you're playing it, but I've opted instead to play Fairy Macabre because it combos with Overlord. Opponent's fetching. Hierarch. We don't go after these types of cards. We just go after the good creatures. Surveil. The good thing about this deck is it does have 2 surveil lands, so like you get a nearly all land hand, and you can still do something about it. Like hopefully avoid drawing land for the next couple turns. That's not worth it. All right, please don't give us a land. Oh, come on, deck. Yeah, well, we can surveil again. And we have Plow and Step just to deal with, like, if they cast something worth plowing. Unfortunately, if they just get Sylvan Safekeeper, it shuts off a lot of our interaction. And they do have the ability to do that if they have Green Sun. Hellish Reclaimer. It's fine. I'm going to plow. Actually, I'll plow the white. I think it's correct because they can go get the... either one can go get the card. The Cradle, which is the workhorse of the deck. We do have Karakas, so we don't necessarily need to plow. It's too late. Yeah, I've got so much land. I need gas. I need action. So I can just hold Karakas, and then if they do go for Atraxa, I can Karakas her back to hand, and they won't be able to ever hardcast her, I don't believe. They may be able to produce enough mana to hardcast, but that means that I can focus my plows on other creatures. I don't have to worry about that. I only play one Karakas in my deck. A lot of Esper Vial players play multiple, but I just don't think it's worth playing more than one. Because, redundant Karakases feel bad. All right, that is a card we can actually use for a change. I'm going to just go get... what is the best card to get from here? Let's think. Well, let's not think. Let's look. Okay, so Skyclave deals with Elvish Reclaimer. It's repeatable removal. We do have the mana to cast it. Strix just draws a card and gets deeper into it. I think it's Strix here. Yeah, I'm going to get Strix. And I'll just keep Strixing. And then once I Yorion, like they're going to be reluctant to attack into a Strix. So next turn I can Strix. And then I can, the subsequent turn I can maybe Yorion. If there is another turn, we might just die to Sith Cat. Okay, Green Sun for 2. This is going to get Sith Cat. We do have Solitude, but it's 2 turns away. And they may be able to figure out a way to kill us before then. Oh, they got another white. Okay. Just coming in for a hug. 2. I'll take it. Our life is, in jeopardy. Like they do attack for damage. Come on, deck. You're not supposed to keep giving me lands. All right. Let's start with this. We dig deeper into the deck. Tomio's not super good. We can play her and just have her as a blocker, which I don't hate. It's not, yeah, I mean, that's all we can really do. I'll just play up the Caracas. I don't think they can disrupt our mana. So now we have kind of like this double blocker setup if we need it. Next turn, we can hard cast the Solitude and take out one of their dudes. Dudettes. Not the prettiest of gals, is she? Well, I'll just Caracas it. Now they're going to snuff out again. They really wanted that dead. Okay. You got it. You killed my creature that was just going to be a blocker. Okay, now they can cycle this away. Oh no, freaking Urza Saga. I wasn't ready for that. I didn't know that was in their deck. Yeah, they do have one Urza Saga. I guess I can go get a Pithing Needle if they boarded that in. I need more Baleful Strix. So white cannot sacrifice itself another creature, so they can use the ability. They're hellbent. I'm going to go for the Solitude this turn. It cuts off a good attack. Oh, you know what? They can do the phase trick. Okay, so I think it does make sense to just go ahead and like, assuming they're not going to go get... Yeah, I'll just do this. And I'll get Yorion. And then later I can go for Solitude. Like if they'll never tap out of that. Yeah, they just have a standing answer. They could Sithcat Cub and kill us. They're fetching now. They're probably just getting like the Dryad Arbor or something. Yeah. And then they sack the Arbor. What are they going to get here? Okay, that does a lot of damage. Did they draw a Natural Order? Pumping it into the Hydra? Okay. So I am going to just block here. And take a bunch. Because we need to get this off the table. I hope they don't have any tricks they can do here. They can go and phase this out before combat damage. But if they do that, they're using one of their phase lands, and then I get the ability to... yeah, man, they could aggro us here. Okay, they're using black. Maybe they thought they could snuff it out, but they realized it's black. If that means that Yorion's not going to be able to get... I'm not going to be able to Yorion Recruiter, sadly. Okay, please phase it out just to save your own butt, because I would much rather be able to get an extra draw off of Baleful Strix here than lose Strix over this. Okay, they're creating a construct now. Okay, what is the significance of that? Oh, they just had floating mana. Okay. All right. So I think what I do is I just Yorion here, and then they're stuck with like constructs and stuff, and I think we can survive for a turn. I'm sorry, Solitude. I'm going to Solitude here. That's what I meant to say. I could Yorion, and then we just have a blocker, but I want to get this off the table. I'm worried that they may have some shenanigans they can do. How much can this attack for? Because if I have this out, at the very least I can block and absorb some damage. And I'm not going to fetch right now. We're going to do this while they can't do anything about it. So they can have some 3/3 constructs, and that'll be scary, but it's not the end. Layer attacks for a lot. Yeah, we may have to throw this... if we can survive an attack without sacrificing creatures, and I don't think we can. But if we can, then Yorion does some serious work next turn. They have one card in hand. 2 cards in hand. And Urza Saga is going off. I presume they're going to go ahead and create the construct here. All right. Hydra is not going to be that big this turn. We have to see what they get. They didn't get anything. Okay, Elvish Reclaimer. Sithcat. Okay. So Sithcat is scary. We have to take out Reclaimer. That's the real thing we need to stop. I'm just going to take this. Okay. All right. Does this do anything? This doesn't really change anything. Okay. Here's my thinking. We need to Yorion. Okay. Wait a second. We could kill Sithcat. So we, Bowmaster, we ping that. We cast Yorion, and then when he comes back, they can do the second ping. They can't get land. Yeah. I'm going to do that because we have exactly 7 mana. We are kind of low on clock here, but I think we're going to win this game by virtue of just exhausting our opponent's resources. Then we go to end step. We can go get a Solitude as well, just to ensure we survive. Okay, so Solitude is going to hit the Reclaimer. Recruiter of the Guard will come in. Bowmaster will come in. Let's kill that. I'm going to go get another Solitude. just as an insurance in case they have like some big creature I don't want to die to it. We've got inevitability at this point. Atraxa would be annoying, but we could overcome it. They're going to make a giant layer of the Hydra. X equals 7. I could just Solitude this. It doesn't have any abilities. Okay. Okay, so I think we go ahead and just Solitude here. I don't like doing it. It's like not value positive, but it is nice to just get rid of this thing. They get a bunch of life. The game's over. I just need to end it. So block here. I'll block here. And they have nothing going on. But they're still welcome to make me play it out. Okay, let's just do this. Pew, pew. Strix. Draw a card. Bogart Trawler is more attack power. I'm just going to attack with everything. We gain some life. We have to do this like 3 times. Bogart Trawler is worth playing out just because it does more damage. Even natural order is not a big deal now. Again, they're just playing to the clock. I can't really F6 just because I may need to Caracas this back to hand. But I definitely don't want to have to go through another Urian loop. It takes like a whole minute off my clock. Okay. They could have Endurance here, but we have that covered. There are 2. Just using up my clock. Okay. That is fine. They don't have anything to do here. It's not going to keep them alive. I'm not going to Endurance or Solitude. I'm just going to attack in the air. All right. They successfully used up like probably 2 or 3 minutes of my clock. If they had just conceded earlier, I would have the time. But that's cool. I mean, that's rules of engagement. All right. So no changes. I'm just going to go straight back in. Let's go ahead and talk game plan. I think the plan for this match is try to get Overlord Felia combo so we can outvalue. Baleful Strix is at a high premium. Lavinia is so bad. I mean, she doesn't do anything, does she? Yeah, I mean, I can't. If she pitches to both our cards, our pitch cards, I guess I keep her in. I mean, she could technically stop like a giant green sun. Other thoughts before we go into the final game of the league. Spell Pierce is pretty bad, but again, like I think it's better than Force Negation. Actually, that may not be true. Yeah, because they have... I mean, we're going to be tapping out pretty much every turn. Force Negation can stop stuff later game that we can hardcast. So yeah, I think we do bring these in. Like almost all their deck is creatures. Yeah, that's the only substitution I have. Any other thoughts before we go in? I really want to win this. I'd love to get a 4-1. I don't think we're going to because this is a pretty unfavorable matchup, but we're going to do our best. The main thing is keeping Self Safekeeper off the table and staying alive long enough to do the inevitability in the late game and minding the clock. Almost 8 minutes on the clock. This hand is a Baleful Strix hand. I'm going to keep it. Wasteland may be useful, taking out like one of their creatures. The Arborers are taking out the Cradle. They can't always necessarily get another Cradle. Hullbreacher, if they get their Urza Saga for some reason, does shut that down. I think it's extremely unlikely that we somehow Hullbreacher them off of their colors. Okay, yeah, they're just going to go get a land. Abhorrent Oculus could be good. Early Sith Cat, scary. And immediate land drop trigger. Okay, I'm going to go get Undercity Sewer because I need to cast Baleful Strix this turn. I would love to bin basically anything here. Yeah, I'll bin that because I need to, like if I get the eyeball monster out, that's something that can run with the game. Solitude's not terrible. I'm going to go get a Tundra. Black, blue, Strix. I'm having a coughing fit and I have to run to get more water. Hierarch's okay. Sith Cat could do a ton of damage this turn. I hope they attack with it. I will happily trade it off. Fills up the yard for Oculus. Another Sith Cat. So this turn I think we want to plow and Felia. Next turn we have Oculus. Actually, hear me out. We just Solitude and then we can Oculus this turn. Yeah, I like that. It's dead. Fetch. We'll get another Tundra. And if they don't have a swamp, so they can't kill it this turn. So we are going to get a trigger. Oculus finally coming in. I think in like game 1 or something, we may have cast it, but it got killed. Doesn't matter. Natural order. No, thank you. All right, we're just going to start beating them in the face. I'm tempted to just go ahead and wasteland their creature just to reduce their material. We have Felia next turn. Bowmasters probably doesn't matter, but it's better to manifest that. White is okay. Fetching. I'm going to put Felia in, and they're going to take 2 damage that they can't really afford to take. So now I can just Felia White out of the way so I can do more damage. Wait, are they dead? I think they're dead. Wow. Eyeball Monster doing it. Yeah, that's exactly Xaxes. Damn, that felt great. I love this deck. I love it. It's not as good as the Nadu deck, the Bant Nadu, I don't think. That is definitely like a more, like paper tournament viable deck. But if you're playing online and you're good with playing quickly, you can rock this deck. It's a freaking awesome deck. It's so much fun. I love the toolbox element. I love being able to play like all the basics and play all the 2 surveillance and be able to have basically perfect mana all the time with your fetches and be able to play Wasteland. Like that's one of the great things about playing Yorion is it does give you additional kind of land slots. And so you get a little more land variety here. Other thoughts, Abhorrent Oculus, very good. Obviously we saw in that final round, the fact that we had like the Solitude and I saw the line of, okay, we can just get him out immediately. I think that was absolutely the right play. We needed to be aggressive there. They had Sith Cat. They had a lot of good stuff coming, but we were able to be quick. Blue count is fine. Let's take a look at the blue count. I think it's like 24. It's not great, but there just aren't enough good blue creatures to put in. Let's do pile view here and we'll sort by color. Venser never really came up. This could be this card. There's another card that people play called, it's like Imposter. And it's 24. So you could put Teferi in here, but I just don't think Teferi is good. There's a lot of Bowmaster and I really want to technically Overlord can get planeswalkers or creatures. So, but I don't think Kaito belongs in the deck. You could put him in there, but like, it's just, you want to have a high density of creatures to take advantage of Vial. And like, I'm like one of those people, like if I'm doing something, like I want to go full synergy. I don't want to do dissynergistic things if I can avoid it. Oculus, you can argue, doesn't really synergize well with the deck at all. It's not like we have like Dreadnought in here or anything, but it's just a powerful creature that can be put in off Vial early. And and if I'm playing so many fetches, I'm playing, let's count. I think I'm like playing like 14 fetches. And 3 wastelands. The wastelands did come up. They were useful. I have previously played versions that don't have wasteland, and I found that it's okay. Like you hit your colors, you get color screwed less frequently. That was never an issue though. I don't think this entire time, color screw was not an issue. Let's make these a little bit bigger here. You can see that black is barely in the deck. So you could argue like, the swamp isn't even necessary, but when you're playing Yorion, it's kind of okay to have those types of cards. Like most of our lands do produce white or blue. So we've got 32. We've got 28 minus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we've got 22 initial blue sources. Let's do the math. So we're only going to have a blue source in 90% of our hands. That's okay. I'm not wild about Scrubland. It did come up a few times. Like that Scrubland could absolutely be just like another Underground Sea or another fetch. I think is also okay. There was like a situation where I had an island out and I could go get Scrub, but because the Black Splash is so light, you could totally like. It's really just these 5 cards. This is a land, but it did come up actually. This was a pretty good card in the league. And you could also argue, why don't you just cut black completely? Because you're barely playing black. One of the problems is one of the few playable blue creatures is Baleful Strix, and you just can't play that without black. So that's why I'm on black, really. Like, and the Overlord Felia combo is quite good. I'm trying to remember. I think we did get it like once, but it's just so good. Like it's very hard for opponents to be able to keep up with that. So the main thing is just having a high enough blue count, which necessitates playing cards like, Lavinia and Harbingers of the Seas main deck, and Venser like obviously would not be playable if he were not a blue card. If this had been Ingenious Impersonator, I don't know that it would have mattered. Anyway, those are my thoughts. Like, I think it's a really good deck. You don't have to construct it exactly the way I did. Like, we were feeling the lack of Craft Digger's Cage here, but because we had Very Macabre, we were able to, that came up pretty importantly in the one Reanimator match we won, and the Reanimator match we lost, we didn't find Very Macabre until it was too late. So I think this card, the fact that they can't interact with it other than Thoughtseize it out of your hand, and that is one of the reasons why now Blue-Black Reanimator plays Thoughtseize. After Frog got banned, they started playing it because it is an answer to Very Macabre, since their kind of more mid-rangey plan is less effective. And we saw that, like, even though we're doing exile-based removal, we got Caracas, we got all this stuff, Very Macabre, like our opponents never deboarded, or they never boarded out of the combo plan because they know they can't beat us if they're fighting fair. In fact, very few decks can beat you if they're fighting fair. The only decks, I do think Cradle can beat you. And we were fortunate to have prevailed over that. Certainly Death and Taxes is basically just a more focused version of this. There's even 60 card versions of Death and Taxes that are just black-white, Dead Guy Ale. Essentially, they're not playing Vial or anything like that. And I think that those are probably favored. But this, if you want a deck, here, let me go back to the normal pile view or card view. If you want a deck that just is good against everything and not dead to anything, then you need to play blue. That's just unfortunately how Magic the Gathering works. Like you're not going to be able to regularly win if you're not playing blue. And I mean, you can go to tournaments and just run hot and dodge like the the show and tell matchups and the Blue-Black Reanimator. I mean, that's pretty brutal if all you're doing is plowing after the monster is already resolved. But I just genuinely think, like, my advice to people that are like, blue, I don't really want to play blue, I don't want to have to buy expensive blue dual lands. My advice, if you're going to be playing Legacy long-term, is just to bite the bullet and figure out a way to incorporate blue into your decks. Yes, this is a weaker matchup against those, those fair mid-range decks that I mentioned that are non-blue, but that's like maybe 1 out of every 10 matches you're going to play, and everything else is going to be like combo, or it's going to be like tempo. And it really is nice to have 4 Force of Wills, even if it's just 4 Force of Wills and 80 cards. Like the Forces did come up and they did help a lot. We didn't go up against any like straight dedicated combo. I bet you if I play another league, I will. And that is where the Force Negations really come in clutch. This Hullbreacher never came up. This could be Abhorrent Oculus number 3. I think 2 is the right number though, because there was a game where I drew it and I didn't have a Vial active and I didn't have enough cards in my graveyard. And I was like, thank goodness that like I'm brainstorming here, or that the game's already over. So this Oculus is not, and it'll pitch the Force. That's the floor. But yeah, I think 2 is the right number, but this is the deck that it is most at home in my opinion, because of the Vial interaction. And, earlier I said this Scrubland could be another Underground Sea, but this could just as easily be another fetch. Fetches are very important. You could also go up to 4 Wasteland if you wanted to. Traditionally, this deck has played 4 Wasteland, but then you are potentially going down on colored sources. Yeah, I mean, with how little black we're playing, I do kind of want to cut the Scrubland for another fetch. And we still have plenty of fetchables. Like, it would be an exceedingly rare instance where you don't have any more fetch lands. Like somebody's like, waste locked you for a long term, and you're late into the game. But we have here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 fetchables, and I think that's plenty. So, yeah, I wouldn't make this a wasteland. I would make this another fetch. But it does increase the blue count. And okay, check this out. Just the magic changing of 1 land. We're going to go from 90.5. I bet you we go up over 91 here. 91.7. That's a dramatic difference right? Having just an additional land, that's like, if you go to a tournament, that's like one less mulligan you're going to do during the course of that tournament because you're playing the extra fetch. And the scrub land rarely comes up. It is nice to be able to grab it sometimes, but you know what, like the invisible thing is like the mulligans where you wouldn't have had a mulligan if you just had a slightly better mana base. And then if you, let's say you take out the wastelands completely, you go all the way up to 26. This is like the maximum really you could do because you are going to want to play a basic plane, or no, you would be able to go up to like 25, I think, because you want a Caracas, you want a basic swamp, and you want a basic plains. So 25 here, 90, like almost 94%. Pretty good. So you're getting into the 1 in 20 hands is unkeepable type territory. And the reason blue is so important here is because it does facilitate early Tomio. It facilitates Brainstorm to dig to your other lands if you're in an absolute dire situation. And blue is kind of like the main color of the deck, even though it actually has few blue cards. But you could argue that like white is just as important. Yeah, I don't know. But I don't think there's any problem with having extra fetches in your deck. And I think it's fine to, like, I've gone as high as like, I think 3 Scalding Tarns and 3 Misties and just cut the wastelands. That is pretty dramatic. With the Witch Enchanter and with the Bogart, we're technically playing 30 cards. But again, these don't tap for blue. So yeah. Anyway, I could spend all day like splitting hairs about like mana-based decisions, whether Spell Pierce is playable right now. You could play Thoughtseize. Thoughtseize is definitely a better card than Spell Pierce, but the problem with Thoughtseize is it's not blue. And we need blue cards. We need at least 24 blue cards, I think, at the very floor. And I'd love to go to like 28 or something like that. One option that you can do if you want to get more blue creatures in the deck is Gilded Drake. But, and Gilded Drake actually would have been pretty insane against Reanimator. Let's take a look at what it looks like. I'll show you real quick this card. If you haven't heard of it, it's a pretty expensive card. It's a reserve list card. It's like $200. I've got my 4 Japanese Gilded Drakes. And essentially you just swap with the opponent. But if you play these, then you do get into situations where it's like Delver and it's like, well, I'm just giving them a flip Delver to take one of their DRCs. Is that good? And it's just completely dead in a lot of matchups if your opponent doesn't have creatures. Like Solitude at least comes out and hits them, but you just can't even cast a Gilded Drake. Like it just dies instantly if there's no creature to take. So, you know, going up on Hullbreacher is an option if you want more blue cards. Hullbreacher is a good card. It will command like a force. And then you could go up on Bowmaster. But again, you can't really go up on Bowmasters or go up on anything. Skyclave is an optional card that you can cut. I've cut that in the past. I don't think it's correct to cut Recruiter. Even though Recruiter seems really dinky and bad because it dies to Bowmaster and it's 3 mana to essentially just search your deck for something else. It is really important to occasionally be able to get like the Solitude or in that matchup at the end to go and get the Baleful Strix. So if you haven't picked up yet, I'm just thinking out loud. I'm potentially iterating on this build. If we take the Pierces out, which I don't really like, I mean, considering like how much stuff, like I think it'd be fine to take the Pierces out. They did come up, I think one time I pierced something, but you can go deeper into creatures if you take that out. You could also get a Teferi in. Teferi is not terrible as a one-of. He is pretty vulnerable to like Bowmaster, and you'll have to, but he does pitch to Solitude and to Force, which is a feather in his cap. So you bring Teferi in. Main problem with bringing Gilded Drake in, again, other than it just doing nothing in a lot of matchups, like it's not good against Oops, it's not good against, well, it is actually kind of good against Sneak and Show, but like a lot of times they'll Omniscience and then they're going to like cast something and then they're going to get an extra turn, so you never have a window to Gilded Drake. They're like similarly like in the Blue-Black Reanimator matchup, they would often, you know, attract and then they'd immediately Thoughtseize before they pass the turn. So like even if I had Gilded Drake, I wouldn't have had a chance to take it. Yeah. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure going up to 3 Oculus is not correct. I could playtest some more. I don't really want to spend 13 tickets on getting another one. They did go down. They used to be like 60 tickets and now they're 13, which is great. That was a huge relief. I guess I could talk for a lot longer about this, but I won't. I don't think Skyclave is fantastic here, especially because we have Venser, which is blue, to bounce stuff out. And often if there's some sort of problematic permanent, like a Ensnaring Bridge, or like a late game One Ring. Venser is probably just practically as good an answer, and it does pitch the force, and this lowers your curve further if you take that out. That can occasionally hit creatures. Yeah, I guess we just run into the issue fundamentally. There just aren't enough good bleed creatures. We've already maxed out on Tamio, which Tamio doesn't really have a lot of synergy with the deck, but the main reason she's in there is it's just blue and it's something to do. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I could think about it like Hullbreacher has been so good for me that you could bring more of those in. Another option would be to just play a couple negations main deck, get your force count up, and that also increases your blue count. And then, yeah, I mean, that doesn't increase the creature count though. And as you can see now, we're down to 33 creatures, which decreases the likelihood of hitting. But really all we did was we took the Spell Pierces and we turned them into Force Negation, which I would argue is a much better card considering we are going to be playing a lot of tap out magic here. We are going to be like having to put, Overlord onto the table or Recruiter onto the table. We're not always going to have Vial. And then if we have those slots, like two cards that I would absolutely love to play are, Prismatic Ending. It's really good against Delver and stuff like that. And it's just like in the matchup we played at the end there, I would love to have just brought into Prismatic Endings and taken out my Lavinia and my Harbinger. So I guess you could do that. Again, this decreases the overall creature count, but yeah, I think it's fine. And then what you can do is you can take out the Force Negations if you're in a fair matchup and you just don't need the Force. And then you bring in Prismatic Ending. I think this is probably how I'll play it for the next league. But I'm really enjoying brewing with this. As we saw, Oculus, exceptional card at the end there. And we saw how powerful Overlord plus Velia is. Velia also blinking other stuff for value, namely Baleful Strix and Recruiter. The whole deck just synergizes so well together. It's just a pity that they don't have more powerful blue cards because I would love to reduce my dependence on black further and reduce my dependence on white further. You can only go so deep. Well, let's take a look at the white count. That is another thing for Solitude. While I'm doing this extremely comprehensive post-game deck tech. So we can go to this display pile view and we'll just see how many white cards there are. I don't know there are a ton. 17 plus these two. And Lavinia is one of those cards that really doesn't belong in the deck, but she's just there. I mean, she is really good against like Doomsday and, like Karn Forge type decks and stuff like that. She's pretty decent against Moon Stompy, but really she's there because she pitches to Force and to Solitude. Yeah, and then if we bring these in, so yeah, we're up to 26 blue count. That feels better, but we went down a creature, but we went up a Planeswalker. Yeah, I think this is probably fine. This is probably totally fine. And then we also improved our mana base by taking out the Scrubland. Yeah, I think that we've made some improvements here and we have a clear thing we can do. So I'll redo the sideboard guide and I'll do another league with this. Until next time, be excellent to each other and party on.